Welcome to yet another great episode of the Let's Be Real Estate podcast. We are super excited for today's guest, Christina Oickle, who is the spokesperson for StoryPoint Senior Communities. Very interesting conversation ahead of us where we define this whole senior community, how to approach it, the finances behind it, and some common misconceptions that we might think. So really excited about today's conversation. Let's dive in. Some of this is help me. You've been doing this 18 years, is that right? In senior care?
I started when I was 10. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you have officially been doing this as a minor and then now
Yes,
a little bit
exactly.
as an adult.
Yes.
Got it. Help me and the audience understand, what is this senior living? There are differences, right, between independent living, assisted living, nursing home, memory care. Give me the quick rundown. Help me understand what this industry is like.
So the industry, since I started, has changed dramatically.
Okay.
In the beginning, back in the day, you had a nursing home, you had independent living, and you had assisted living. That was it. There was no other options, right? As time changed, value was placed more on living differently, living better, right? So other things started to pop up. Typically when I meet with families who have never done this before, and I always say, am I your first? Let's figure out exactly what you're doing. They read, as we all do, we get on the internet, and what are the questions I need to ask? What should I say when I go looking for senior living? Unfortunately, many of the questions that people read on the internet is a bunch of crap. So, truthfully, when you look at the different types of senior living, there's so many choices. You have to understand who your parent is as a fact, not what you think they are, but who they truly are. Because, and I say this because many times it's hard as a child to see your parent as an old person. You don't see the decline, right? You start to get annoyed with, why don't you remember that? I just told you that. What is wrong with you? Why can't you climb up the stairs? Okay, because they are 92, right? Everything slows down. And because there's so many different options, you need to understand where they're going. There's places called CCRs, which is continuing care retirement communities, right?
What does that mean?
So those are campuses. Actually, we have one not too far away. The Western Reserve is a perfect example of a CCRC. They have memory care, assisted living. They have villas for super independent humans. Then they also have skilled nursing. So there's all sorts of stuff in one campus.
So they get to age.
So they can age through the whole thing. Now, mind you, every time they change, they have to move from one area to another in order to be able to handle their needs, right? Then you have places that are truly independent. We call them 55 and up communities. Unfortunately, many times seniors like to stay a little longer than they should in these 55 plus communities, and they start to make their neighbors become their senior living, which is difficult on the neighbors. So I try to make sure we educate people to understand that it's okay to leave there. There's places that will make more sense for you. Then after that, you have independent senior living, which are in places kind of like, for example, Vitalia has them. They have cottages, right? So there are cottages which are independent, but you're still kind of close enough where you can reap some of the benefits of being in close proximity to senior living structures. Then you have your independent living, which is something that StoryPoint has. Now, mind you, StoryPoint Group as a whole, they've been in this business for over 40 years. Started off with a few buildings here and there in Michigan, which is where our home office is. And then they've stretched out literally all over the place, growing. We've been acquiring buildings as we go. StoryPoint, and I'm going to talk about StoryPoint in a few minutes. Sure. Because they have a unique system that is something that I was surprised to see, something that I hadn't seen. There are also buildings on the independent living side, which are in buildings. And basically what we normally like to say in the industry, it's kind of like living on a cruise ship.
Okay.
right? Because it's pretty much all inclusive when it comes to the living part. Typically, it includes the utilities, Wi-Fi, cable. It includes a few meals, depending on the building itself. Sometimes it includes transportation. It includes the activities, the events, outings, things like that. Now, you have to pay for your own trip to the casino. So, we're not going to foot the bill on that one. Yeah. And then you have assisted living. You have two different types of assisted living. You have assisted living A and assisted living B.
Okay.
A is more like a light version where you have nurses on the premises, but they're typically there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then they have nurses on call overnight. And they do the gamut of all the things needed in assisted living. And then you have assisted living B, which is where the nurses are in the building 24/7. So that's a little bit more hardcore, in my opinion, as far as medical stuff that they're able to do. So it gives people the ability to still live as independently as they can without having to be in a skilled nursing facility, which, just so you know, and people know, nursing home, skilled nursing facility, it's the same thing.
Okay.
People don't like the word nursing home anymore, so they changed it and made it sound better. Skilled nursing facility, also known as long-term care rehab and short-term care rehab. So those are the different things that are out there that people can choose from. Now, financially, obviously, the levels are all over the place. And one of the main things I tell people when they're looking for senior living, make sure you understand the budget. Because here's the worst thing to do, is you go shopping, right? And you start looking at, it's kind of like real estate. You go look at a $500,000 house, but your budget is $175,000. Well, I still want the $500,000 house,
Sure.
but you're not going to get it.
That's right.
So it's super important that they understand the finances. And also, if your father, mother, whoever was a veteran, ask the questions. A lot of times people don't even realize that there are different types. CIA is going to come after me after I say this, just so you know. But there are different types of benefits out there for veterans and spouses and widows of veterans that are available to assist in paying for senior living.
Okay.
It's
How
huge.
would somebody find out about that outside of asking, the facility?
Just call me.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But typically, if your parent was a veteran, the best thing to do is to call your local VA office and ask the questions. There's going to be 3 ways that they're going to identify whether or not you qualify for something called aid in attendance. That is a pocket of money that's sitting there to assist veterans who served during time of war. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean that they had to actually be boots on the ground like in Vietnam or Korea. They just had to serve during the time frame. There are dates, specific dates, and there's like bookend dates in between as well. That's why you need to call to see if your parent will be eligible for that. It's also financially, of course, right? If you own an island off the coast of Bora Bora, good luck, you're not getting it. But if you fit within the criteria financially, your benefits are there. The same thing with free home health. A lot of veterans don't realize that being a veteran, whether or not you served during time of war, there are benefits available to you. You just need to inquire. And there's actually special kickers. I think it was about 2 years ago that came out for Vietnam vets who were exposed to Agent Orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's some potential benefits there. I want to dive into the finances here in a little bit. But going back to something you said was really interesting. Like families don't know what they need to know. So they search online. Mm-hmm. They can't always find what they're looking for. Some of the stuff is misleading. But like, what are those, if you were to say, here's the top 3 questions you need to ask in every facility that you're interviewing?
You know what's really interesting? I tell people all the time, the most important thing for you to do, you have to understand who you're looking for. Then,
so what does that mean? What do you mean by that?
So so for example, I just met a new resident who moved in this morning.
Okay.
Lovely gentleman. He was a CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. When you have that kind of background and you've done those kind of jobs, to slow down and retire is very hard for them to adjust. They never thought they were going to be in this position, right? When you're in that position, you think that's going to last forever. So when you go to move into senior living, it's a hardcore rattling to your whole psyche. So it's super important that you understand who your parent is, because nothing is more important than walking in and feeling the vibe of the building. The walls are great. Buildings are beautiful. There's so many buildings out there that are absolutely stunning. But that's not what's going to take care of your parents. Your parents are not moving into senior living because they need new appliances. They're not moving into senior living because they hate their home of 90 years, 80 years, 70 years. That's not why they're doing it. There's something missing that you're looking for to satisfy whatever it is that they're needing, whether it's loneliness, better nutrition, friends, safety, security, care, medical care. If whatever those things are the things you need to write down before you go see any community, because you can't get distracted by pretty when you have an agenda of things that you're looking for.
That's good.
That's important. The second thing to do is walk into a building without telling them you're coming. You need to know what you're getting. Are these people your parents' people? Can you see your parents, your mom, your dad, hanging out with these people? Are they friendly? Do they look happy? Is it clean? Because at the end of the day, it's people that take care of people, not things and not walls. So if you don't feel it, if you're not connecting, if you don't see people being happy, it might not be the right place. And those are the things that are more important than anything else. The questions that I always kind of make fun of is when people say, well, what's your staff to resident ratio? Nobody cares about your staff to resident ratio. That means nothing. What's important is, how are you going to take care of my mom? When the assessment is completed, whether it's assisted living or another factor, which is something that StoryPoint has, which is called enhanced living. We have 3 different types of living in our buildings. We have assisted living, we have independent living, and then we have enhanced living. Enhanced living was created for people who are a little bit older but are very clear mentally. Their bodies are just breaking down. So they need a little more assistance throughout the day. Getting dressed, opening bottles, standby shower assist to make sure they're in and out of their shower safely. There's nothing wrong with them mentally. They're perfectly clear. They can still put you in your place in a New York minute, right? But they need some physical assistance. That's why enhanced living was created, for those folks who are still wanting to live independently, but just need a little extra support. It's a perfect setup, which is why our building is literally, I think I have 1 apartment left. Okay. And it's because of that, because there are so many seniors living so much longer, but they don't need assisted living yet. Assisted living is created for humans who need a medical personnel administering something or overseeing something. So that's why that's created for them. But a lot of other people are not quite at the assisted living level. They just need assistance with living. And that's where that part comes into play.
So StoryPoint, you mentioned, we have one here in the Akron area. Where else do you have StoryPoints in this
Everywhere.
Northeast Ohio? Okay.
Actually, like I said, we're starting to acquire more. I know there's a few things in the works, but we do have Shaker Heights, which is in Shaker Heights. And we also have, so StoryPoint Group is the umbrella. Underneath our umbrella, we actually also have Independence Village, is another grouping of senior living homes. We also have all the Danburys. Danbury is in Brunswick, it's in Hudson. Danbury is a very well-known name in Ohio because they had been around forever. So StoryPoint Group has acquired them and they're under our umbrella. Our other StoryPoints we have in Aurora is our Independence Village, but we have several StoryPoints more up north-ish. In Michigan, of course. We have New York, we have Massachusetts, we have Kentucky and Tennessee. Okay. So little by little, it's starting to spread out. Sure. The word is getting out.
And what separates StoryPoint from the other facilities? I mean, this is an interesting thing to me because it's like, it's a competitive thing. There is, when you talk to a lot of different folks, it seems like everybody's like, oh, ours is better, ours is better. And I'm sure there are different features and things. That probably goes into what you were saying earlier, that persona needs to find the right fit for them. But like, are there big differentiators or are they all about the same? Like,
Well, honestly, it depends on who you ask.
Okay.
So when it comes to senior living, because I'm not a big fan of talking crap about other companies, I don't think that's every building has its own vibe, its own niche, its own type of community, right? Even like at a community at large, right? Fair Lawn folks are different than Medina folks, that are different than Portage Lake folks. Everybody's got their niche. Buildings are the same. It just depends on what the person is really searching for. What makes StoryPoint different, and even in my tours, I say it all the time, my building is not made for people who want to sit and watch movies and be entertained. My building is for people who are wanting to live their next chapter. Get it? StoryPoint chapter. Yeah, I'm very punny. Okay. But as they go through that process, you would be shocked to see how many older folks are not old people. They're older people who want to continue to live their best life. I have a 94-year-old gentleman who lives in my building. He is a retired physical therapist. He teaches exercise class at 11 a.m. on Tuesdays, and we took him ziplining 2 years ago when he was 92.
Wow.
Every summer, we take our residents kayaking. We've taken them on hot air balloon rides. We got side-by-sides and went dune bug racing in the backyard not that long ago. And the looks on their faces, because they're not old. We cater to older adults, people who want to live and live hard and have fun. And we do stupid stuff all the time, but we have a great time every time we do it.
Yeah.
So when you ask me what sets us apart from other companies, we help seniors live and continue to live what their next chapter is, what they want to do out of life. You're still here. What do you want to do next? Mm-hmm. Our life enrichment director, she asks the residents that every single day. What do you want? What do you want to do? She has this amazing philosophy that she says, if even one resident wants to do something, I will make it happen, because they should get to live their best life.
That's great.
We also have this thing in our buildings, in all of our buildings. It's called the 1440 motto.
Okay.
1440, let me tell you. So 1440 means there's 1,440 minutes in a day. That's how many opportunities you have to make a difference in somebody's life. Wow. And it's not a senior. It could be the chef. It could be, the culinary team. It could be the housekeepers. It could be the front desk. Anyone you come in contact with, how can you make them smile? Or how can you make it better? Disneyland, right? If you want to yell, do it back of the house. You can cuss up a storm if you want to. It doesn't matter. Get it out of your system. But the one thing I've learned after doing this for so many years, and I'll never forget it when I learned it, it was probably month 3. You don't realize what an impact you make in these people's lives on a daily basis until you don't see them anymore. Because you never know from one day to the next if you're going to see them again. So the last thing you want to do is have them have negativity in their life when you don't know if you're going to see them for breakfast.
We're definitely going to have this conversation here in a little bit. You're getting on the concept of community, creating community, and that's something that I think people need to know about. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not just, you mentioned a couple of good points. You're not old. You're old.
We don't cater to old people. We cater to older people.
Yeah, so older in age, not necessarily
mentally
deemed old. Yeah, yeah, that's good. So you have to create this community. So I like the 1440 thing. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. Is it a perpetual thing that it sounds like you're always creating a community? It could change, it sounds like, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, the community based on what the residents need and want. Mm-hmm. So that community is pretty important. So what are some of the most, you mentioned a few of them, but like the most popular activities you guys do that people would be surprised about?
Well, it's really interesting. So Chester, who is the 94-year-old who teaches exercise class, there's not a lot of people who miss his class because, come on, if a 94-year-old is teaching a class, you better get up there and show what you can do, right? The other thing that we do, which I find unique, so in my career with senior living, I have been in 57 different buildings. I have helped over 1,800 families. Wow. And it's very rare. So for other companies that I work for, I was basically a specialist. So I would go in and help create the vibes in these different buildings. And I would also go in and fix certain things. One of the things that I always look at is the minute I walk into a door of a building, it takes me 5 minutes to figure out what's wrong, just by sensing what's happening.
What's your senior senses?
I have spidey senses for seniors, and I already can tell what's happening. Yeah. I can tell by looking at the residents. I can tell by looking at the front desk person. I can tell by the smell that I smell the minute I walk in. Prior to senior living, I was in hotels. And one of the things that I was a trainer, one of the things that I used to tell people is that you have to get people as they walk in the door with your senses. Sight, smell, sound, right? Those are all important. Yep. So as they walk in, what are you smelling? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you feeling? All of these things are important because that is what will determine how the rest of the visit is going to go.
Great.
So it's critical. One of the questions you asked me is like the things that you need to ask. You really don't need to ask a lot. You can walk in and walk right back out just based on what you saw. The way that I always try to help other companies is I say, your first impression will tell everything you need to know, right? If you start to drive up to the building and there's patio furniture outside when it's winter, if you can't take care of your own property, how are you going to take care of my people? These are my parents. I don't have the time to take care of my parent the way they need to. As our parent gets older, the shift begins, right? The child is now parenting and the parent becomes the child, right? So as this is occurring, you need to find a place that can take care of your parents because unfortunately you are in a position, these are some of the things that I explain to seniors often. Sometimes, and I know there are many people out there who know what I'm talking about, your parent will guilt you into thinking that it is your job to take care of them because they took care of you. There are many ways for you to take care of your parent. The differences are when you were small, you were a child, easily directable, who would do what you said because they have to, right? They depend on you for everything. When a senior is now reversed, right? And the senior is the one with these expectations. The difference is the senior could be like, nope, not doing it. I brought you in this world. I'll take you back out. You can't make me. This is my house. I'm fine. Don't tell me what to do. So now you're dealing with someone who is of age, is not going to listen to you, and is expecting you to be their sole entertainment all the time. That's why the kids get 14, 15, 16 phone calls a day. They don't have anything to do. They're retired. They're at home. So what are you doing? So what are the kids doing? What's happening? I'm worried. There's stuff outside the door, and watching the news is the worst thing a senior can do, but that's a different story altogether. But as you're going through these processes, that is why it's important to connect your parents with places like these. And that's why the kids have a tendency to feel such an enormous amount of guilt because they have been taught that it's their job to take care of their parents, right?
So how do you deal with that? Because that is a real thing, right?
Alcohol, a lot of it. No, I'm just kidding. No. It's a process because the hardest thing, even our communities, all communities struggle for the first 30 days when a person comes into the building. Yeah. It's such a hard transitional time for the parents, for the kids, for the staff. We're trying to get to know a new person. The kids are feeling so guilty because the parents are making them feel guilty. How could you put me in this place? Why'd you put me in this place? Do you hate me that much? Right? And so the kids are like, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? This isn't right. Like, they hate this. I'm going to pull them out. I always tell the kids, just breathe through it. Here's what they're going to do to you. Here's what they're going to say. And then they start to see that everything that I'm saying is happening. It's a pattern. 16, 17, 18 years of me doing this, the pattern's the same. Yep.
So you've seen this happen so much, but I guess what do you do what are communities supposed to do? How do you transition well? What is the thing?
It's time.
Is it?
It's time. And the minute the resident connects with one other person, it's all set.
It's relationship.
It's relationships. Yep. It's understanding that it's kind of like, and I tell this to the kids all the time, it's kind of like
kids, and these are probably like
kids are our age,
50,
50, 60, 40-year-old people who are going through this, because so when you think about it, between the ages of 40 and 60, that's when we are the busiest humans, right? Because now we have generations to deal with. Some of us have grandkids. Some of us have great grandkids. Some of us have children still, and they're graduating from college and high school, and they have band practice and dance classes, and the kids and the grandkids have all this going on. And now you have a mom. Congratulations, it's a girl, because it's another kid that you have to deal with, right? In between. The problem is that because it's your parent and you've been a part of this person's life your entire life, there are strings that are pulled that you can't help. That's just the way it is. If you like your parent. If you don't, it's a different story. But if you like them, it's hard, because not only is your parent has a hold on you, which will always make you feel like a kid. Doesn't matter how old you get, they're still your mom, right? I had a tour with a gentleman, 72. His mom is 100. He's still the kid. He still acts like the kid because his mom is still his mom. So it doesn't matter your age. There's still, the connection is there. Mm-hmm. Even though he has grandkids, great-grandkids, you know what I'm saying? Yep. So much stuff. There's a different kind of relationship between a child and a parent that you can't ever change.
So there's this big emotional thing that happens.
Huge.
In the families, you say the kids, us,
yeah,
tend to feel the guilt of that. Is there anything if someone can do, like, to help with that, or is it just trust the process?
You know what? You have to trust the process. I tell the kids all the time, it's kind of like putting your kids in summer camp, right? In the beginning of summer camp, your child calls. I hate it here. It's awful. I don't have any friends. There's nothing to do. I hate everybody. It's the same thing. But you give it a week and then they stop calling because now they made friends. Your parents are the same way.
They don't want to go home. Yeah.
Here's a super fun story. There's this woman, we're going to call her Teresa, in one of my buildings many years ago. She used to call her daughter and tell her that we weren't feeding her, that we weren't giving her her medication. Now, mind you, we did not know this as this was happening. But one Friday, the daughter calls me, furious. My mom is sitting in her room and no one's brought her food, and she's sitting there all alone, and she's got her blanket around her shoulders. And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, as this daughter is saying that, I'm like, is this the same no. So Teresa was the one who would come to every single musical entertainment, every party. She'd be the one dancing down the hallways, laughing it up. I have pictures that I had taken. As the daughter's yelling at me, I'm sending her the pictures. I'm like, is this your mom? Are you sure? And she stopped mid-sentence and goes, are you freaking kidding me? And I'm like, she's playing you. She's playing you all day.
Like a guilt trip kind of thing?
Because what I tell people all the time, if your mother's name is Teresa, she's your mother. She's mom to you. She's not mom to me or to any of us. Who you see and who I see are not the same person. Think about how you act in front of your children, and think of how you act when you're with your friends. You're not the same person. You talk differently, you act differently, you say different things. What do you think they are? They're the same way. What you see and what I see, not the same person. The conversations that I have with these people, I know more about you people than you want to know.
Do you ever have a problem when they're like there's actually conflict in the community?
Oh, yeah.
And how do you handle that?
Just like you would in any school. Oh. He's looking at me. She's going out with me, not with him. Oh, yeah, well, let's sit down and have a chit chat. And that's what we do. So many years ago, I was an executive director, and I used to run the buildings. I don't do that anymore because there's so much, I'm better off. I don't like to use the term sales because I don't like it. It feels dirty, right? So I call it, I'm a counselor. I guide people through senior living. They're not always going to choose me. It's not about me. It's about choosing the right place for your parent. If you come with me in my building, it's just a bonus. But the truth is, I'm here to guide people so that they're making the right choices. Otherwise, you end up moving multiple times. And listen, seniors don't like moving, number one. You move them more than once, they're not going to be happy. So why not just try to do it the right way the first time? The only way to do that is by being as educated as you can with what's out there, the choices, and the truth.
Mm-hmm. So have you seen
Yeah.
where families can make a choice? They believe they're making the right choice. They
Mm-hmm.
put, mom in the home, in the assisted living facility. Let's pretend, and it doesn't go well.
Oh yeah, I've seen it many
And
times.
then they've like,
Mm-hmm.
how disruptive is that?
It really depends on the situation. Sometimes, like, there are parents who live out of state and then they're moving to a building. So it's very difficult, even for me, to be able to judge what kind of person is coming, right? A lot of that has to do with memory care, right? Dementia, memory care, cognitive decline. There's different names. And the one thing that people need to understand is there's a huge difference between a cognitive decline and dementia. Dementia is a disease. Cognitive decline can be based on normal wear and tear. We all forget things.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I walk around with my phone in my hand saying, "Where's my phone?"
Right.
That doesn't mean I have dementia. Well,
Right.
maybe. But it means that I'm just forgetful sometimes. That's normal. So understanding the differences is huge, because putting your parent in the wrong place is not going to be good for them. A lot of times I have these conversations with families and they because what they know is what they know. So they automatically say, my mom needs assisted living. Let's explore that. What does that mean? Well, she's old. She forgets things. More. What does that look like? What are you seeing that would make you think she needs well, she needs assistance. She has a hard time getting in and out of the shower. Okay, can you still have pretty good conversations? Well, yeah. Is there a diagnosis of dementia? No. Okay, well, then she doesn't need assisted living yet. Let's take a look at what she really needs, because understanding that if you put your parent in a level of care that they're not ready for, that's what you're going to turn them into. So you have to be super aware of who this person is and where they're being placed in order for you to put them in the right place. It avoids the move outs. Yep. It avoids having to change over and over again.
That's what I was going to ask. Is there like some piece of advice that you can give families, like, to help avoid those type of disasters? I would say that's pretty bad. That's a setback for everybody.
I think the hardest thing, and it's hard for families in general to see their parent as an older person, right? You have, your dad was this amazing human, right? Your mom ran a household with 6 kids. She could do anything, superheroes, right? As they age, they change and they need things. What is it that they need? Where are you in the process to understanding where the needs are? As we get older, time flies. Sure. You know, 1 minute mom is driving, taking herself to the doctor, still dressing to the nines, nails done, hair done, everything's perfect, and she's 82. All of a sudden, 2-3 years later, she doesn't leave the house. She's eating cereal for dinner. She tells you everything's fine, but it's not. You don't know if she's taking her meds properly. She could have fallen 3 or 4 times, but you don't know, because they don't actually tell you the truth, ever. And that's when you have to start paying closer attention to little signs.
Yep. I wanted to get into that too. Like, are there certain things that a family knows?
Mm-hmm.
What are some things us kids can look out for in our parents to know, like, hey, it's time to start exploring this?
Mm-hmm. So as you're getting older, that's a great example as far as their appearances. If your parent always took care of their appearances, if they always made sure that everything was styled and dressed, and even the cleanliness of the house, things like that. If you start to notice, like, it's not happening as much, if they're wearing the same outfit over and over again, that's a sign. If you start to notice that they're not leaving the house as much, that's a sign. If you look in their fridge and there's really nothing to eat, what are they actually eating? Look in the cupboards. Look at the expiration dates. The way we knew my father-in-law needed senior living, he was living in Florida. We were living in Texas. And at the time I was like, meh, he's fine. We'd call. My husband has 5 sisters, so we were all checking in on him, but via phone. No one had laid eyes. Good. So I told Peter, I'm like, I think it's time that we go to Disney. Let's take the kids and stop at Dad's while we're at it. So we went down there, and he was a brilliant man. He was a World War II veteran. He wrote novels and historical, publications. He was a professor at Stony Brook University. Brilliant human. And so you don't think that, oh, he's going to need help someday, right? Or he's going to need something different. We walked into his house in Florida, and it was an episode of Hoarders Anonymous. Because he's a writer, he only likes to write. He, old school, right? Writes on a computer, but all of his documentation, like all his research was like those banker boxes. So there was a path from the door to the computer, to the bathroom, to the recliner, to the kitchen. Other than that, if you lit a match, that house would be up in flames.
Sure.
And then I looked into the freezer and in his cupboards, and he had food from 12 years ago expired. And that's when we're like, okay, this is not working. So we had to make the decision as a family that it was time to make a change. He was always very good about not really fighting us if we thought that it was time for something different. Now, mind you, when it actually took place, that was different. He struggled with the change. And he literally wrote a book. My husband's actually working on finishing it, called The Waiting Room. Because he used to tell me all the time, it's a very unique experience to be older when you don't feel older. So it's like you're watching a movie and your eyes are the camera as you see all these things happen, and you're like, how am I here?
It's pretty
you don't even understand how this process took place. One day you're 50, you have kids, you're running around, you're doing all these things, you're getting to the next level, right? Then your kids become parents, and now you're a grandparent, and you have the little kids, and you're running around and all this stuff. But then when the grandkids start to grow up, everything in your world becomes smaller. Things start to quiet down. Now you don't drive anymore. How am I going to get my groceries? I got to depend on the kids. That's one thing that parents do a lot, is they turn their children into home health workers. Now you're not a child anymore. You're a caregiver. Now you don't get to have fun with your parent anymore. The conversation becomes, did you take your pills? Did you eat today? Okay, you have a doctor's appointment next Tuesday, so I'm going to leave work and I'll pick you up. And then we'll run over to the grocery store and make sure that I make you food for the week. So
I get it.
Your parent thinks that they're independent.
Yeah.
Because in their mind, I still live at home. I can still shower myself. I can still get myself dressed. I'm independent. What they fail to see is that Susie over here is picking up meds. Susie still has a job and a husband and children. Susie is burnt out because mom's TV remote doesn't work again. And it's 11 o'clock at night and she needs to watch her shows. So Susie's husband gets up for the 20th time, drives across town to fix mom's remote. And that's where things start to become messy.
My friend, in transparency, that's the life that's a chapter of life we just closed with my mother-in-law just passing, and she was with us for almost 10 years. So I get that. I've seen that. I've felt that. It's very personal. I'm sure it's very relatable to a lot of the audience as well. It's like, how about have you seen a time when someone's coming to the facility? Yes, it's hard. Transitions are hard. It's very emotional. Where their health or their life is actually improved because they're at a facility?
So that's that's actually a great thing to talk about, because, so like I said before, I've been in many, many buildings. It's very rare that you find I can count on one hand how many buildings I've seen this situation happen where people actually reverse. So the building here at StoryPoint Medina, our care team in the assisted living side is absolutely phenomenal. Our director of nursing, Michelle, throw her shout out right there. She's incredible. And she and her team have literally made people better to the point where they've graduated out of assisted living back to independent.
Wow.
Because they just needed that extra support. We're very fortunate that we have this incredible physical therapy team TCT, and they actually are the best physical therapists I think I've ever seen. Their ability to make people better is absolutely incredible. I can't speak highly enough. I mean, I work very closely with many rehabs in the area. Edwin Shaw is one of our flows, right? They bring over a lot of people. It's because of what we have been able to do. Because like I've said, yes, the physical being is important. But when you get a human, I'm going to call her Judy, moved into our building, she's a retired ER nurse. Nurses are the worst. Love you all, but the hardest people to take care of. She came in, she was a 2-person transfer with a Hoyer. A Hoyer is an apparatus that's used to help lift people when they're not able to bear weight. She was in her apartment in assisted living, angry, bitter, very, very angry about having to even be in assisted living. How dare you? What were you thinking? This isn't for me. She's not independent. We all know that. So I'm the drill sergeant. And so once in a while I have to go over and be like, look at what's happening here. Judy and I had a come to Jesus conversation. And I said, you can go back to independence, but you have to work. I can't do the work for you. You have to do it. Little by little, Judy got it, right? Her family were supportive. And I told them, because sometimes I have to tell them, listen, your mom's going to complain about me. She's going to tell you that I was mean to her. Here's what I'm saying to them so you understand why. There's always a why behind it. It's not like I'm going to go up and yell at people for no reason. That I need them to motivate so that we can help them achieve where their best version is. Your mom is not going to come in. I'm not going to promise you she's going to fit into a bikini. She's not going to be running a marathon at 97. None of that is true. But there's a better version of each one of these people, no matter what. Our goal at StoryPoint is to get them to whatever their best version is, right? Judy now remember, when she first came to us, 2-person transfer with a Hoyer. She couldn't do anything for herself, literally. Couldn't dress herself, couldn't do anything. Poor nutrition, not taking medication properly. The reason she ended up in the hospital and then rehab was a fall. Typical, right? She had been laying there for hours, and then we needed to get her up and running again. So now, today, she lives independently. No walker, no wheelchair, nothing. She takes 1 or 2 meds, has never been happier, will never leave our building because we saved her. And she acknowledges that all the time. Nothing is better for a human, not just a senior, to feel purpose, to be able to feel like there's more to life than sitting in a recliner watching the news 24/7.
What you said there was like, I think the biggest key to that story is like, you have great care, yes, you have great givers and that, but it's the purpose that you give somebody. They could probably go get that similar care somewhere, but when you give people like purpose, you mentioned people have jobs there, right? Even if it's the simple task of trash removal or something, they have community groups and that. I think that's pretty powerful. Like they have purpose. It's cool. Yeah. I'm glad you guys can give that. How about this is the waiting room? I like that word, by the way. This is, I'm sure, with 180-ish
like
at this particular facility. Okay, so
760. Yeah, something around there.
A lot. Over 150. Let's pretend.
Yeah. Yes.
There is a percentage. We all have 100% chance of dying.
Of course.
And you deal with this
every day.
How does that impact a community like this?
Okay, so here's something really interesting. Many years ago, I was in a building, and I always wondered why there wasn't a mental therapy component to what we do.
Yeah, or a grief counseling or
something like that.
Right? Yeah.
Now, many communities do have grief counseling. A lot of hospice companies offer free counseling, or they offer free support groups, but no one's ever really had a therapy, right? Well, about a year and a half ago, we had a company that we started working with, Inspire Senior Care, who actually are counselors, licensed counselors, to help seniors acclimate to senior living. It gets billed through Medicare, so you don't pay anything out of pocket. And the best thing about it is that it's the way they approach it. Seniors, for the most, I can't say all of them, but most of them don't want to hear about shrinks. They don't want to hear about therapy. They're not going to lay on a couch and tell you their problems. But we actually work with this company in a way where we phrase it to seniors that says, these lovely humans are here to help you get used to senior living. That's the truth. Meanwhile, they're uncovering baggage that comes with living a long time, right? Could be the death of a spouse. It could be the death of a child. Even leaving your home. I have a woman who lived in her home her literally entire life, and she's 81. So 81 years of being in the same home, and now she's being uprooted. That's a loss. That's something that needs to be developed and talked to. They're not going to tell their kids about these things because her name is Sally, and Sally is not going to tell her daughter how bad she feels. Sometimes they do. Some parents will just lay it all out there, right? But not everybody does. The older age groups are still very reserved with their feelings, especially men, right? They're not going to spat it all out. So there has to be a different way, a different outlet for them to get that stuff out of their system. And having this component that StoryPoint Medina has makes us unique. It's a unique situation. Are we better than everybody else? I mean, of course, as a salesperson, I'm going to tell you yes. But in truth, no. You know, there are many amazing communities around us that cater to different types of human. So it's just based on what it is that you're looking for your parent. What kind of lifestyle do they want to have? Yeah. Some people are perfectly happy living a more of a waiting type thing. Listen, I worked my entire life. I'm not going to bingo. I'm not going to go make friends. I don't care. I'm the best companion there is. I'm good, right? Those people might not love our building. We're a little too Disney.
Too social, too
yeah,
community.
We're too Disney. They want more like Red Lobster. We're not that, you know? So there's a difference. There's a different type of human. People who come to me and say, well, listen, I have to warn you. My mom is very stubborn. She's a little feisty. I'm like, bring them. Those are my people. The feistier, the honorier, the more obnoxious, those, I'll take them all. Yeah. Because they're the ones who want more.
More to life. So I know we talked about counseling, but maybe like even death, right? When death occurs in the community, like these people are part of this community.
Yeah.
And then somebody exits, right? How does the community deal with that? Because everybody knows like this is happening.
So there are several things that we have. When we lose one of our residents, we change the way people look at death, right? I always talk about transitioning to the next phase of life. We talk about graduating to the next program, right? We have celebrations of life where we go and have happy hour and have a couple cocktails and we tell stories about the person. And we value when they were with us. Allie, our life enrichment director, writes a story about them and puts it in a specific spot, right? We light a candle, the whole 9 yards, so people could learn who was with us. And we always make sure that we take the time to talk to their best friends in the building to make sure that they're okay. We all know, right? We all know what's happening. We all talk about it. Sometimes you got to just take a beat to really hear where they are at, because it hits people really hard sometimes. You know, they become close to someone, and sometimes when they move into our building, the reasons why they've moved into our building is because they've lost all their friends. You know, they don't have people to hang out with anymore, so they struggle getting close to other people because they don't want to have to feel that again. So we just try to show them that death is coming, right?
Yeah.
Taxes, we got to pay
Death
them.
and taxes. Yeah.
So no matter what you do, they're there. We already know it's there. All right, so let's make the most of what we have until we get there.
Do you guys do any like legacy type videos for like do families, do any individual members, residents of the community like do something like that where they're like, hey, I'm gonna create this legacy video or like this conversation or write a journal for my heirs?
We do have we do have it depends on the human.
Okay.
But we do have several things. Like one of our many clubs is we are very fortunate to have the gentleman who is in the Historical Society for Medina in our building. Him and one of his friends who actually also lives in our building, they created a genealogy club. So it's really super fascinating. A lot of the residents are getting involved in the genealogy club because they're starting to research and learn who they were, where they came from, those things. And they're passing it on to their generations, which I think is super unique and fun that they get to do that. So yes, for all intents purposes, a lot of the residents get involved with those kinds of things as they start to develop a sense of self.
That's interesting.
A lot of people, when they move into our building, you got to think. There was a gentleman who moved in. He was 95 and a veteran. He moved into independent living when he first got there. Assisted living when he first got there. He wasn't able to walk. He had spent the last 7 years sitting in a recliner, literally. Only got up to go to the bathroom and back. Well, one day he just couldn't get up anymore. So he had to move to senior living. He was also very upset, very angry, but at the same time, he had lost so much weight that the kids were very nervous. He came to us, and the one thing he kept saying is like, I just want to go kayaking, because he lived in front of a lake. He had been staring at that lake for years and wasn't able to get into a kayak. So we told him, we challenged him, and we said, okay, if by the summer you're able to get up and move around on your own, we'll take you kayaking. We have a picture of him in the hallway. He's the one that's kayaking in the lake.
Got it.
And we now, mind you, we went tandem. We didn't let him do it on his own. But he was able to get into the kayak, and he did the paddling on his own, and he made it happen. So really it's things like that we try to help people live their best life and get to that next point.
That's great. We talked a lot about like while we're there, the community and life there. What about practical things families should be thinking about, considering now? Like we're talking like finances. This is, we always hear, that these things are expensive, and I know each community has different cost and whatnot. What can families do to prepare for the financial piece of this? Is there assistance? This isn't a benefit type of thing, right? These aren't benefit, there's no Medicare.
So when talking about money, the best way to do it is like the first thing a salesperson would ask or should ask is, what is your monthly income? What does the income look like?
What if they're, there's a family that might be on just Social Security income, doesn't have a lot. Like, how does a family like that even benefit?
Look at this?
Yeah.
So, and this is why there's
Maybe
so,
it's not.
no. I mean, truthfully, no. So there's different types of buildings, right? And there's different levels and pricing and guidelines depending on what it is that you're looking for. Obviously, the healthier your parent is, the less expensive it is.
Okay.
The more care they need, the higher the price. Also, there's things that a lot of seniors, like especially I would say 80 and 90-year-olds, some kids don't actually even know their finances because their parents have always been super private about their finances. But some of them have long-term care policies. Explore that. That's money that they've been putting into this long-term care program since they were probably first married in their 30s and 20s. Kids have been shocked to see that their parents have these policies that literally pays for their senior living forever, and they never have to touch anything else. The veteran angle is another one. Widows of veterans also entitled to money. A widow of a veteran currently is entitled to a little over $1,500 a month. Well, that could be a life changer. It could be a game changer. And I joke and I tell, when I go do seminars at the senior centers, I always tell the ladies, listen, If you're not married, marry a veteran. You don't have to like them, just marry them. You get plenty of benefits out of it. But it's more income that will assist in senior living.
Sure.
There are different price points in senior living. You do get what you pay for. Unfortunately, that's how it works. But the one thing I will say is people need to be super, super careful when it comes to Medicaid. Medicaid is something that we were taught many years ago that, oh, when you run out of money, you'll just be on Medicaid. It's going to be fine. If I'm going to caution anyone about anything, is Medicaid. Yes, that is true. There are Medicaid buildings. You know those movies that you watch that are like the old people are sitting in the hallways with the dressing gowns and it smells really bad and it looks like Night of the Walking Dead? Medicaid.
Got it.
Okay? So, there are some places within our community that have a program called a Medicaid voucher program. You need to be very, very cautious when you go to these buildings. The salespeople are going to sell you on what a great program it is, right? Hey, listen, your parent could live here forever. We have the voucher program. They can convert to Medicaid when they run out of money. The one thing that you need to know that not everybody tells you, some people are very direct and will tell you exactly what that means. The Medicaid voucher program is kind of like the lottery, right? What it means is that you have the potential of someday being able to go into a Medicaid room if it's available when your mom's money runs out. That is not a guarantee. That is just the ability to go on a list for that happening at some point. That is the one thing that you need to be careful of. There was a company that I worked for many years ago that had this Medicaid voucher program. And as a salesperson, I never saw what happened when they went to cash it in. I just was taught how to sell it. Oh, live here forever. It's great. Luxury living for the rest of your life, right? I never knew what happened because I was never in a place because I was always moving from building to building. I never saw it be cashed in. Well, one time I was fortunate enough to be in a building when someone was saying, hey, mom's running out of money. She's got 6 months of money left. I'm ready to get onto that Medicaid voucher. How does that happen? Oh, I didn't know. I don't know. Let's find out. I went to the executive director of the building and I handed over the form and I said, okay, Mrs. Smith is ready. She's got 6 months. We got to get her ready for, converting to Medicaid. She's got 3 months of Medicaid pending. What happens next? The ED took the paper and put it on a pile that big on top of her desk. And I'm like, okay, so what happens? Nothing. We just have to wait until there's an apartment that opens up. Well, what if one doesn't open up in 6 months? Oh, well, then they're going to have to move out. Yeah, but I sold people the fact that they never have to move out. Well, these are just if a room is available.
So vouchers, opportunity, not guaranteed.
No. So after that, I was not very happy because I pride myself on the one thing is I will never lie to anyone. I'm not the soft, mushy person. And if you need somebody to cry with, I'm going to pull in Laurel, who's my executive director, because she cries at Kleenex commercials. If I tell her I'm going to tell her a sad story, she starts crying before I even start. It's pretty bad. So, and she's the weeper. Okay. That's not my thing.
Got it.
If you want truth, if you want fact, if you want me to tell you how it is, you can come to me.
Come to Christina.
Yeah, but if it's the soft, if you need someone to hold hands and like sing Kumbaya, not happening. I'm from New York. I don't think I have that gene in me, so it just doesn't work. But as you go through these processes, this is how it kind of expands.
Yeah. So should families be like scared of those types? Because, let's pretend like you just don't know how long you're going to be living, right?
Nobody
is
knows.
It 3 years? Is it 10 years? Mm-hmm. Is it 15 years? So you just don't know. It's like, how do families prepare financially?
You look in a crystal ball.
Okay.
No.
So how is because your money could run out.
Always.
Like, let's pretend you and your mom had, parents had enough to go for 10 years. Mm-hmm. It's like, I figure it's give or take, $5,000, so $60,000 a year, could be up to $100,000 a year for some of these nice facilities. And then you'd multiply that times, a few years. It's like, that's a lot of money that goes to the final years. And then let's pretend you run out because your care is great, your purpose is there. What happens to families in those situations?
It's so basically like,
and maybe this isn't a conversation we're going to solve. This is like a government thing.
Yeah, it's a government thing. I can't solve that one. But what I usually tell families, because I don't really like to bring in families unless I know that they have the money is in place for longevity, because people will fall in love with it. And then I have to kick you out. Like, I don't like that. So what I try to do is, like I said, straight facts. Just give me every piece of information so I can then take a look. There's some variables. Unfortunately, it's kind of like assessing and trying to predict when someone's going to die. I'm not a doctor. I'm not God. But I kind of know, just from doing it for so long, what our timelines kind of look like. It's a guess, but it's an educated guess. So I take a look at the income coming in, and I try to always make sure that we can put as much as we can into the income, because that's always perpetually coming, right?
Yep.
So as long as we base the chunk of money coming from that, then if we only have to pull a little from savings or a sale of a house or things like that, there's a good longevity. It's sustainable, right? And then again, I always tell families the key to success is making sure your parent stays healthy. Now, there's a stroke, there's a heart attack, things like that. We can't help that. It is what it is. But then the life expectancy also changes, right? So there's a multitude of things that you have to look at from my point of view when I'm helping families. I'm going to help a family no matter where they go. That's my goal. You can't come here, here's why. But here are 3 buildings that are going to work for you. It's within your price point. It's exactly the type of living. I go to these buildings all the time. Great, now they're going to know I'm spying, but I do. And it's not necessarily because I'm spying, but it's because when I give a referral, I need to make sure that what I say is true, right? So I want to make sure that if I'm sending you somewhere, it's because, yes, they have quality food.
We talked earlier, it's like the budget in real estate. It's like, hey, your budget for a home is $175 to $200, but yet you can't go and look at $500,000 houses because you just, can't afford it. Similar situation, you have to know your budget. Assuming you're coming in, that hey, here's kind of generally what our options are. Because I think everybody would want the great high-end option.
Who doesn't?
So, that's. I think it's just for families looking at this. It's like you're balancing like the money, because we deal with a lot of estates, and there's money in estates, and or there's not, and the only asset in the home only asset in an estate is the home.
Right.
So it's like you're balancing like, well, I can't afford to do this, or I have to sell the home to do this. So you're kind of like relating our two worlds a little bit. Like, is there friction for families like that? Do you feel these things where the kids are like, hey, we need to do this, but the parent isn't? Like, what are some of the biggest friction points that either you have or like a senior community might have?
Well, like I said in the beginning, what we do is very emotionally charged. So friction, it could be between siblings and family members, because this one wants mom living closer to them, but this one does more. Then there's the money isn't, that's my inheritance. I mean, a lot of families don't think that way anymore, but there's still quite a few who are like, that's my money. And nope. I mean, I have had some unfortunate, sad situations where the kids would rather have their parents be on Medicaid as long as their money doesn't get touched.
It's pretty selfish, seems like.
So, I mean, people are who people are. And 100%. Everybody has their meanings. And this is what I tell a lot of people. You have to understand, we only get to know them as seniors. I don't know what kind of parent they were. I mean, could be mommy dearest. Who knows, right? So I can only protect the person that comes in. The one thing I do tell families when they bring the parents to us is, we're here to protect them, not you. We're here to make sure that they are living well and that they don't have a lot of conflict in their life. If there are any outside entities that we need to be aware of that could be coming at them, make us aware so we can put a "you're not coming into our building" situation, because they need to live in their happy pink bubble, right?
Sure.
They're happy. We don't know how much time they have left in that pink bubble, but we want to make sure that every minute they're having as much fun or just peace and calm and quiet that they can.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah, great. You mentioned even your father-in-law, you kind of having so much stuff, that's their life, that's all their belongings. We seem to, like, as humans, crave all this stuff, to acquire all these things, and just to kind of like satisfy our lives. And then at the end, it's like, okay, you're transitioning into this wonderful facility, great. What do you do with all that stuff? What do families do with it?
I get it.
How do they handle it? You get it.
I get it all.
You got a huge storage warehouse in your backyard.
I call
or
it
something?
furniture warehouse in my building. So I do, and let me tell you, my executive director, Laurel, she absolutely loves that I collect stuff. No, she doesn't. But I do give away a lot of stuff. So because I work very much with veterans, I donate a lot of things to veterans. And sometimes I have seniors who move into my building, especially veterans, who don't realize that they could live this type of lifestyle because their money isn't there, until I show them that you can collect aid in attendance. You are eligible for the kicker because you served in Vietnam and were exposed to Agent Orange. Here's an extra $5,000 a month that you didn't know you could get.
It's amazing.
And you've been living the last 5 years in some shithole. Oops, sorry. But you know, because you didn't know. You thought that all you had to your name was the $1,800 a month in Social Security, when in actuality, bam.
Benefits.
Now you change your life. So they come to me with nothing. And I have stuff. So then I create their rooms. I also have a unique thing that we do at our building. It's called transition rooms. I know this is hard to believe, but seniors are very stubborn and they don't like change.
Okay.
And they don't want to move into buildings unless they know what they're getting. So I have created basically Hotel for Seniors.
Okay.
So it's a program where you sign a 1-year lease, but you have the ability to get out after 4 months. 90 days, and then you give a 30-day notice if you hate it. Okay? So they come in, I have these rooms beautifully furnished, and they basically get to try it out and see what senior living is like. Out of I can't even tell you how many of these transitions we've done, I think I've had maybe 2 or 3 move-outs. The rest of them are already picking at their apartments before they even hit day 30. And it's because they're afraid. They don't know. But then when they get in and they test it out, right, then they're like, hey, this is better. I have people who cook for me. I have people who clean for me. I don't have to pay any bills. Everything's all included. Why not? You know, the funniest thing is that when I'm touring the kids, they're the ones who are like, I'm moving in tomorrow. I'll take that. Let's go. Because they're like, why wouldn't you? We're generationally different humans, right? They're not from that era where, okay, do it for me. They're like, I'm doing it myself.
Well, this is a real thing. Like, if you think about the aging population, right? So I think statistics show between 2052 will there be more seniors than the other population. So as this aging population moves through the transfer of wealth, so back to the money, and that's my inheritance piece of thing. I don't know if like the life expectancy is increasing or decreasing. I think it's expected to increase, but just like that's probably a really big thing. I would imagine for families. Like, I think it's complicated. It's probably really complicated because you have so many factors coming in there. I like to try before you buy, if you will, but where you come in and try to see how this is like, because then you have the opportunity for connection with community, and then it's pretty sticky, I would imagine. From that standpoint. But wow, that's really interesting. Like, so if you were to like sum this conversation up and say for families, like, here's the thing you need to know, what would be that message?
When the number one thing, the best takeaway is focus on paying attention to the needs. when you start doing more for them than they do for themselves, you really need to explore it. The first thing before you even start, if you want me to just give you Senior 101, call me. I take phone calls from people in different states all the time because it's fine. I love to educate people on senior living because you don't know what you don't know. So how are you going to know what to ask if you're not aware of what there is? People come at me like deer in headlights. They have no idea what to do or how much power they have when a parent is being discharged from a hospital. What they can choose what rehab. You don't have to take what they tell you. You have to understand what it is that they're rehabbing from so you're getting the right care. Then you also need to see, like I said, if you're starting to become a senior living for your parent, you need to take a look at it. Understand your finances, understand their finances more than anything, because there are different communities out there for every level of finance that will make it easier for them, for you, for everyone. They will be a happier human if they're not alone. They start to talk to things, right? Because that happens, or their pet, right? Inanimate objects. It happens. I call it the castaway syndrome, the movie Castaway, sure. Right? Talking to Wilson. Yeah. Well, everything becomes Wilson because they don't have anyone else to talk to. You will start to notice, I call it the senior fog. It's not dementia, and it's not a whole lot of memory loss, but because they don't speak to people especially during the winter months. This is the worst time for seniors because now they're definitely not going to drive. Well, now they're not going to walk outside. Oh, they're going to cancel all the appointments because they don't want to go out there. Oh, yeah. So how many days do you think a senior goes through without speaking to a human?
Hopefully not many.
Unfortunately, especially those seniors who have no family, there goes weeks where they don't utter a word. Mm-hmm. That's not okay. We're not meant to be like that. Yep. It's super important for the health and well-being of humans in general that they don't have that happen, And we, in our communities, all of the communities, we all become their extended families. So many don't have people. We are their people, and we are here to make sure that, Laurel says it all the time. She says, every day during our stand-up meetings, she says, we get to love on 168 humans today. Let's go love on them all day long, because a lot of them have a lot of grief. I've had people move into our building that had no choice but had to move in because their spouse passed away. Mm. And so not only did this lady just lose her husband, but now she's being put into a senior home because her kids live in another state. So imagine how terrified she is, how much grief she's going through. She lost her best friend. She was married to this man for 67 years. When you lose a spouse after that many years, you might as well just cut off your left arm because it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. How are you going to function without that other half? Yep. It's devastating. Yep. So a lot of, you have to be able to put aside a lot of little petty things in order to see a person for who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this has been really helpful. And I think it should be helpful for a lot of folks to understand, how this goes. Anything I'm not asking that I should?
I love that. So that's a question people say to me all the time. What am I not asking? Yeah. That's a great question. Really, I think we've covered a lot of the most important things, like understanding when it's time.
Yeah, it's so much of what we talked about was like the emotional side of it.
Yeah.
Because it is providing purpose for our aging parents. There's going to be more and more of them. I mean, like the waiting, maybe the wait list. Like if I say, okay, it's time for mom, is like, are these facilities just open and there's a whole bunch of openings everywhere?
No.
Or is it like, okay.
So
so there are wait lists, it sounds like.
It depends on the community. Some communities, like depending on where they are, right? there's waiting list for some buildings.
How long would somebody have to wait? I mean, I know there's so many factors in here. It's hard to.
It depends on okay, so here's the thing with senior living.
We're talking a month or two, or we're talking a couple years?
Well, here's the problem with that. In senior living, most buildings don't just get 30-day notices because they want to live in a different place because it has a better view.
Okay.
So basically, we have to guess when someone's going to pass.
Okay.
So it's different. Like, it's not like you're renting an apartment. There's so much.
The lease is up in
July.
Yes,
exactly. It doesn't work like that. So that's one of those things that, like, I have some people on wait list only because they want a 2-bedroom apartment facing the courtyard that faces the east. Okay.
Specific
I put
parameters.
them on that wait list, and there they sit, right, until one of those units come available. Could be 10 years from now. Who knows? Other people are like, I'll take the first thing you get. Like, I don't care. Just put me in there, right? So there's variables, and especially with all our different communities, this time of year is busy for us because, this is what I tell families all the time. You haven't seen your mom in 8 months. She lives in Florida. So you're going to go visit her for Thanksgiving. Well, you haven't seen her in 8 months. Then you go down there and you're like, what the hell's going on here, right? Like, what happened? She has to move. Now you got to figure out that component. She's in another state. You got to move her closer to home. She's going to fight you because Florida's nice and warm. Ohio, not so much. So you're having to make all these transitions and these changes. That's a lot for any family to have to take on.
Take a long time.
So it takes a minute to go through the process.
Selling the property and getting rid of the personal belongings. And
the great thing about real estate agents that I've worked with is that there are some companies out there that have the experience of working with seniors and understand that if I'm calling you, real estate agent man, it's because I need you to sell it fast.
That's right.
Right? We can't wait. Let's go. So it's very important that for me that I have really great relationships with real estate agents in general, because when I have seniors that come to tour and they're like, well, I can't move until I sell my house. I can pick up the phone and be like, hey, Darrin, I got this house. It's in Fairlawn, 2,800 square feet. I need you to sell it. Like, can you do it by the end of the month? And then you put your feelers out. You already have your database. You're ready to roll. You know what you need to do, and it's done. Then that senior can't be like, oh, well, I got to wait. Nope, got your movers right here. Nope, got this right here too.
Shameless plug, exactly does have the fastest days to sell home, just saying.
Yeah, there you go. Not that I didn't set you up for that one, but yes.
Yeah.
And the same thing with having a network. It's funny because when you and I first met, we talked about the circle of trust. So I always have had a circle of trust, which is preferred vendors that I use to eliminate obstacles. Well, I don't have a mover. Oh, I do. Well, I don't have a downsizer. I got that too. Well, I don't have someone to sell some. I got you. I need a real estate. Oh, I got a real estate agent. So literally anything you need.
Eliminating the concerns and the barriers to entry. Yep.
Absolutely. And just to make it easier, because, I mean, especially if I'm dealing only with a senior, the amount of stuff that's set in front of them, it's like the deer in headlights, right?
Overwhelming.
I have to do this. I have to do this. And then how am I going to label everything? Where's everything going to go? My daughter wants this, and then my son wants that. You need someone to be like, shh, this is how it works. It's an ongoing joke. I know it's because I'm from New York. I move at a different speed. So a lot of times I tell seniors, okay, you need to trust me on this next step. It's hard to trust me. Trust anybody, but you have to trust me. I'm going to help you. All I need you to do is keep your hands and feet inside the cart and let me take over. Because what I tell people, you have to remember something. These are your only parents. You have one set, one dad, one mom, maybe two because of steps or whatever. But I've done this with 1,800 families. I can do what you can do in a month. It'll take me a couple of days. Not because I'm smarter, but it's just because of repetition and because I have the connections. I can make 4 phone calls and get accomplished what you're looking for before you walk out the door.
That's right.
So it's
you
just
say the
easier.
same thing. It's interesting. Like, this is not super scientific, very difficult stuff, but you could do this. It's going to take you more time, and now you have to trust 40 individuals. You have to find the trusted mover, the trusted organizer, the trusted agent, the trusted, And you have to do all these things, which you can do. It's going to take you a lot longer, and now you have to figure out how to trust 40 people, as opposed to like, if we can build that circle of trust together, it's like, okay, great. You can trust me and my network.
Yep.
It's not just me. It's me and a whole bunch of professionals that are already trusted and vetted.
Exactly.
And we can do this now.
Yeah.
I love that approach to how you guys do business, and decreasing the barriers for families.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
So before I let you go, the last two things I want to talk about, StoryPoint, if you don't mind, is I want to let everyone know that we have an open house every Friday. Every Friday from 3:30 to 4:30, it's open house, which means it gives the seniors and families an opportunity to come and check out the building and check out its happy hour. So come have a cocktail or a mocktail or some appetizers and really get to see the building without being toured. Because the residents and your parents need to see if they're people that they could be friends with.
And it's not just see, it's smell. And
that's right.
Smell, see, touch.
Yes, all
feel,
of those things. So that's very important.
Well, thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Enjoyed the conversation. It was really helpful for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yep.